Ready now? Welcome, everyone. Thrilled to have Governor Justice come in to be able to talk to us about Amendment Number 2. He also has some individuals with him from Secretary of Tax and Revenue and others who are going to be able to talk to some things. Governor, thank you for having this conversation. It's so important for us to be able to make sure that the individuals around our state understand what this amendment is supposed to do. We do have representatives, Governor, from the local school board, from other cities. We got the mayor of Barboursville, who's also here. We've got several members of Huntington City Council that's here. We have county commission and other county representatives here, Wayne County representatives, county commission, Cabell County Commission. Governor, here's at least how I read this, and I'll let you then run with it. I'm awfully concerned about this. Not that I have a concern about reducing property taxes. We all would love to be able to do that. But my concern is that the effect that it's going to have, bringing everything to the state level of controlling local property taxes, and then when we start having an effect on school boards, county levies, and then all of that authority and collection is going to be held at the state level. We have found here, Governor, in Cabell County and Wayne County, in our communities, Barboursville and Huntington and other towns in the area, that we can be very, very innovative in how we're able to work with you to attract business into the area. Governor, thank you so much for all that you're doing. I do know this. When I look at the state legislature and how they are working with local government, every time that we work with the state legislature on local government, they're taking something away from the citizens being able to make a decision locally and saying, we're smarter and we'll make that decision in Charleston. And every time that they end up doing that, we see the school board losing authority, being able to run the schools with the parents of the area. No, we're going to make these decisions in the legislature in Charleston. And yet what we end up finding is that as I look at this amendment, this is amendment number 2, the Trust Us Amendment. Trust us to make the decisions that once we have this authority, that we're going to do it so that county commissions, you're going to have the resources to be able to do what is expected of you at that local level. School board, you're going to have the resources to do what is expected of you in running the school system. Trust us, because we're going to give that authority and we're going to give you that revenue back. Why should we trust a legislature that every time that they deal with school boards, county commissions, local government, they're looking to say, no, we can't trust you to do it. We're going to make these decisions locally. Governor, I know I'm getting into the weeds on some of this, and this is at least from an elected official locally. I know this. When I'm looking at a partner in Charleston, I know all I have to do is look to you and call your office, Governor. Your folks have always been there for us. The governor just came in, for those of us who've been wanting to see a baseball stadium being built over at Marshall, he just came in and he asked, how much more do you need to have in order to be able to build this stadium? They said $13.8 million. Guess how much of a check that he showed them that he was distributing to them at Marshall University, a $13.8 million check from this governor. Just right up the road, Nucor locating. It was this governor. Everywhere we're going, where we're now redeveloping ACF, it's the Justice Administration that has been our partner on this. So if I'm looking at partners, I'm looking at someone who stands by us every time. Governor Jim Justice and his administration. Ladies and gentlemen, the great governor of the great state of West Virginia, Governor Jim Justice.
That'd All right, let me just do this. And we'll move through this as quickly as we possibly can, because I know the sun's bearing down on y'all, and we've had a great day at Marshall University in this great town. But before I bring up, our Secretary of Revenue and our Deputy Secretary of Revenue, Mark Mukow's here and everything, and I just got 2 or 3 things to say. First of all, Mayor Williams, it is unbelievable the transformation that's going on right before our eyes right now. I mean, let's just be real. We had some tough days, did we not? This city, in all honesty, had the toughest times, the toughest days. And we're seeing a rebirth that's unbelievable. And we're seeing our university here knock it out of the park, just like what is happening with the city of Huntington. We see the West Virginia, the state, doing the same thing. Now, absolutely, you should all be really proud. It can't be perfect. There's no way it'll be perfect. Only one made things perfect. But really and truly, what is being accomplished right in front of your eyes is a real deal. The real deal. That's all there is to it. And you should be very, very thankful and very proud. Now, doesn't mean we're not going to try to get better. But before I go any further, I've got to just say this. There's a fellow back here that was an ungodly great football coach. And really, because of some weirdo rules and everything, so far we haven't been able to get him into the Football Hall of Fame. He loves this community and this school so much it's off the chart. And he calls me all the time, night and day. He just calls with everything in the world that comes up. But he just got inducted, or he's going to be inducted, and he just got his letter that he was a wrestler too. A lot of people don't know that. But he just got a letter that the Wrestling Hall of Fame, or the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, is accepting and inducting him into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. So please give Coach Pruitt a big round of applause. He's got 1,000 different sayings, and some of them are a little bit overboard, and I'm not going to get into all that. But he is one good man. His wife Elsie, just really the best of the best. They're home in Florida, I think, right now. They're maybe escaping that terrible hurricane that could have really caused unbelievable damage. And really, I ask for your prayers for all those folks. I haven't had the opportunity to be in front of a television to see exactly what's going on today, but early this morning, there was a sheriff, I think, in Lee County, Florida, that said that there was hundreds of casualties. We offered up our National Guard. We do so because we're absolutely just that. We're loving, great, good people. Now, I'm going to start with our Secretary of Revenue. The Secretary of Revenue, Dave Hart, come up, and we'll move along. We'll move along very quickly. Today, I want to just say one more thing. Today's a great day for Marshall University. It's a great day for Huntington. It's a great day for Jim Justice. I was here a long time ago with brown hair, and I was skinny, and then I grew another body. But I was right over there in the dorm when the plane went down too. And Kathy, my wife, our first lady, was right in the dorm on the other side, in Twin Towers. We were right on the field when we beat Xavier. And absolutely, those times were unbelievable. We watched Coach Pruitt lead us to national championships and all the greatness. And we watched on TV with big tears running down my face as we beat Notre Dame. Today, an opportunity for a real son of Marshall, and Kathy, a daughter of Marshall, and Jill, a daughter of Marshall, for all of us to be able to do just a grain of sand's worth to give back to a school that is really doing something really good and to initiate something that genuinely builds us a baseball stadium, because for God's sakes, a living, that guy that had brown hair and was skinny, we were talking about it then. I mean, we've talked about it forever and ever. The last thing I'd say, is whether it be, our great new president that we have at Marshall University, our great new athletic director. It is unbelievable what is going on at Marshall University right as we speak. And we need to just keep it going. Mr. Secretary.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good to be here this afternoon. I'm Dave Hardy, the Secretary of Revenue, and I have my deputy, Mark Muco, and we're the numbers guys at the Capitol, okay? That's what we do. And I'm here to tell you today, I'll start off with the basic reason, the most important reason I'm here. Amendment 2 is a bad idea. It's a bad idea for the state of West Virginia. It's a bad idea for local government. The county commissions, I was a county commissioner for 16 years in Kanawha County. I was on the city council of Charleston for 6 years. I know what it's like to provide the services that the county commissions and the city provide. And let's talk about this for a minute. I'm going to take you in a time machine. January of 17, the governor honored me by asking me to be the Secretary of Revenue for West Virginia. So we go up there and we have our first meeting, and Mike McCowan, our budget director, hands us some reports, and I look down and I say, oh my goodness, red ink on these reports. And what we learned was fiscal year 17 had 5.5 months left in it. We were $217 million underwater, in the hole. And we said, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? Then we looked at the next fiscal year 18, and it was $497 million. So we started off, the governor and his team, with a deficit of $700 million the day we got there. Now, I'm going to take you to June of 22. We closed our books at the end of June this year, and I'm proud to tell you that West Virginia posted a $1.308 billion surplus for fiscal year 22. Now, they say Bo knows football, Governor Justice knows finances. And when Governor saw that surplus, he started talking to what tax can we cut? How can we put money back into the pockets of all of us hardworking West Virginians? And here's what we found. There are 9 states out of 50 that don't have a state income tax. You're very familiar with many of those states. Of course you are. Tennessee, one of my favorite states. Florida, Texas. Of course, Florida's in the news today. Those states, those 9, in the last decade have grown twice as fast as the states that have an income tax. Those same 9 states in the last decade, their economies have grown 56% faster than the other 41 states. Then when you add on the beginning of telework, one of the legacies of the pandemic, and telework used to be the future, now telework is now, it's here. And what the studies show is teleworkers will go where taxes are low. So when you add those 3 things up, our conclusion and the governor's leadership is it's time for West Virginia to swing big, swing for the fences like Aaron Judge, and swing all the way, because this governor always swings for the fences, or he doesn't swing at all. We want to eliminate the state income tax in the state of West Virginia, and we want to start that process right now. Now, I'm going to let the governor elaborate in more detail about that. But let me talk about Amendment 2. Amendment 2, simply put, and it's appropriate as I say this at the Heritage Station, is a train wreck. It's a train wreck because of the following reason. In 1932, the voters of this state voted to bake the property taxes for local government into the state constitution. Now, that's 90 years ago. For 90 years, in our Constitution, it is clearly spelled out that local government, city government, county government, school boards have the dedicated revenue stream guaranteed by Constitution of the property taxes. Why? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why would the legislature want to take that away? And that's exactly what Amendment 2 does. What Amendment 2 does, it says, give us, the legislature, the authority to decide how the property taxes are going to be received and spent. So I believe Coach Pruitt said it originally, this is like handing your wallet to the legislature, all your money, and then saying, oh, please, legislature, give me my money back. Now, it sounds good right now because we're doing well right now. But I want you to think about West Virginia 10 years ago. We had a deficit of $200 million 10 years ago. When this governor arrived, we had a deficit of $700 million. So you're giving away your revenue, $600 million worth of revenue, and you're saying, oh, please give it back. Now, you would be naive. Mayor, you hit the nail on the head already. We would be very naive if we thought that the legislature forevermore, next 100 years, is always going to put the cities and counties and the school boards first. Why would that be naive? Think about all the things the legislature has to deal with. PEIA, pension obligations, disasters like they have in Florida, pay raises for all the state employees. So we're setting up a scenario where the city and county employees are going to have to compete with the state employees for their pay raises. And you're going to have to compete with the state employees for your health insurance, and so on and so forth. Now, this West Virginian has common sense, and our governor certainly has common sense. Real simple, bad idea. Bad idea for local government, bad idea for our school boards. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to the 36th governor of the state of West Virginia, Governor Jim Justice.
Okay, let me not take up a lot more of your time, and let me just go as quickly right to the point as I can go. First of all, just answer me this one question. You know, in order to vote for something, you ought to be able to have seen something and seen a bill or whatever that is really the byproduct of why you would vote for this. Raise your hands, please. Please tell me anybody here that's seen what you're expected to vote for here. Has anybody seen it? Really and truly, we've seen it, but you haven't seen it. The reason I'm here is just really, really simple. You have no earthly idea, and nor could you have any idea of how dangerous this is. This is so dangerous it's off the chart. Now, Coach Pruitt, you know, Secretary Hardy had it almost right, but here's what Coach Pruitt said. The legislature is saying to the counties, the cities, the school boards, to everybody, give us your wallet and take all the money out of it and give us your money. And any money that you got coming in, give us that too. And here's what we'll do as politicians. We'll promise to give it back. Now, if you buy that, if you buy into that, I'm going to be respectful to the fact of what you've done, but honest to God, I've got some great oceanfront property in Kansas that I can sell you tomorrow. You can't possibly do this. There's no possibility that you can do this. You have a guaranteed income stream now that funds all kinds of stuff. If you really believe, let me again raise a hand. Do you really believe that because we have done what we've done, that forevermore, we're not going to have a blip on the screen? We're not going to have a bad year, a bad day. I mean, if you believe that, please just raise your hand, because I then would say your parents have got to be Rainbow Bright and Peter Pan. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have bad days. We all have bad days. I mean, that's just all there is to it. Somebody's got to be able to really mind the store. And I'm telling you, since the day that I walked in the door, now we can say what we want, but you can't criticize too much here. Since the day we walked in the door and this state was dead level bankrupt to where we are today, as far as looking after the store, it's been looked after pretty dadgum good. Now what you got going on is this, and this is why I won't take forever. What do you have going on in Washington, D.C. today? Really and truly, you've got lobbyists running around that got big bankrolls. And what those lobbyists do is they give the legislatures or the Congress, they give dollars away to get votes for what will benefit them. That's what's called the swamp. That's the whole thing about the swamp. Now you explain this to me. Why in the world are we doing this? Why are we trying to get the machinery and inventory tax taken away? The reason we're doing it is to the benefit of big companies that don't ever even ask me to do it. I mean, we have growth and growth and growth and more growth and more growth and more growth and more growth, and I've yet to have the first company say to me, you know, Governor, we'd come to West Virginia if you'd get rid of that machinery and inventory tax. None. Zero. Now, in doing so, if you get rid of the machinery and inventory tax, you are giving up all control that you have on a local level, and you're putting it all in Charleston. And if you have a blip on the screen and they can't come through, you're going to have to cut services. There's no other way. Now, there's 40 or 50 people here. At the end of the day, you may say, well, what in the world is the governor doing here? The governor's here because, you see, I really am going to stand up for our workers. And there's hardworking people that go to work every day, most of them with their dinner buckets, and they work really hard. There's our first responders, like this man right here, our sheriff or whomever, that is literally going to work every day and putting his life on the line, and his comrades the same thing, and they depend on us, don't they? They depend on us to have their backs. Well, as your governor, whether I get in trouble or don't get in trouble, I'm just going to tell you just this. I really believe that those big companies, we want them to come, and we want their jobs. No question whatsoever. But this idea and this concept of build a field and they'll come is not much of a guarantee to me. Absolutely, if you walk away from the standpoint of giving control of what you have and is rightfully yours, and you give it away, here's what I'll do. Now just think about it. From my standpoint, I'm here. You're sitting out there in the sun, and I'm sitting in the shade, but I'm here. And I'm here to tell you with all in me that what we're talking about is those little fellas that are sitting on those steps. We're talking about their future. Absolutely don't think for a second West Virginia can't slide right back into the race with Mississippi on who's going to be dead last. That's the race we were in. And literally, if you don't become disciples and do something about it, that's exactly what will happen. At the end of the day, you know what I'll do? I'll ride off into the sunset because between now and when I'm gone, I can cut every ribbon known to man and do everything under the sun, and West Virginia will be doing just great. But at that point in time, the other thing I'll do is if we pass this, I'll turn back to you and just say this: I respect you in every way, but I told you so. I'm here to do just that. I'll look right at you and say, I told you so. And we will absolutely reel off into no man's land. Now, many, 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 many good people, legislatures went along with this because they had no idea the level of toxicity that could be. Today, I mean, of all things, would you ever have thunk it that if we had all this money in surpluses and a Republican governor with a Republican legislature would have said at that point in time, let's give $254 or $270 million of it back to the people right now. They're hurting. Inflation's eating them up. They're hurting. Let's at least do that. The Senate wouldn't even vote on it. They would not allow the Senate, the leadership of the Senate, President Blair, Chairman Tarr, would not allow them to vote on it. Now, why? And you know why? It is just the why is so simple, it's unbelievable. They have to have all the money. They can't give up that $250 million that would come to you, because they've got to have all the money, because what they're introducing to you is basically a risk I can't fathom. The last thing, and this makes me really sad, but they're tying with it, they're saying, vote for Amendment 2 and get rid of your car tax. Now, I want you to know, and I want you to know that I've never told you anything but the truth. I make mistakes, but I'm going to tell you the truth. Without any question, I would be in favor of getting rid of your car tax. We all would. But why are they doing that? You know, really, the car tax is about $140 million, and we're wanting to do right off the get-go $250 or $270 million. That gets back to you. Now, just think about it. That's 10%. If you do the other 90%, you'd have 20 or 30 times what the car tax would mean to you. You know why they're doing it? They're buying your vote. They're buying your vote. That's all there is to it. They're buying your vote. And you cannot be this naive. You cannot do this. You're absolutely going to just drop the hammer on everything all around you and obligate our state. There's a thing called base building. When you pull out a fifth of the total revenue of this entire state, and you have a blip on the screen, your butt's in real trouble. Now, the why has got to be really simple, and then I'll quit. The why is just this. They can't get away from it now. You had a lot of really, really good legislatures that said, you know, yeah, I'll go along with that. And they never really realized the magnitude of what we're talking about. See, legislatures come and go. They're elected and then they're not elected. They come and go. You're depending upon this for 100 years to come. Absolutely, with all in you, you've got to continue to ask yourself, well, why? Why have they done this? And I promise you exactly why. The promise of campaign donations, the promise of support in elections for the next election to be. They are married to it and they cannot get away, and it's really only two people. And they're driving the show wholeheartedly. They can't get away from this no matter what we do now. I have begged to negotiate with them over and over and over and over, and we can't get to first base. That's why I'm here. That's exactly why I'm here. At the end of the day, I love you, I love this state more than good sense. You'll never take that away from me. No matter what you say, you'll never take that away from me. And with all that being said, at the end of the day, as long as God above gives me breath, I'm going to stand with you. I'm going to stand with West Virginia. I'm going to stand with our working people. I'm going to stand absolutely for our big corporations to bring us opportunity. But if you are just going to believe and sit back and say, we're going to build this field out here and they're going to come for sure. Look, my grandparents never had indoor plumbing. I am the American dream through and through. But I'm a realist. You entrusted in me to mind the store, and I've done it. And I'm telling you, you entrusted me to take you through this terrible pandemic. And God knows, through the help of first and foremost the good Lord and everybody else on the team and everything, we're getting there. It's been really, really, really tough on all of us. Now, the net of the whole thing is just exactly what I said. At the end of the day, if you vote for Amendment 2, it's going to be a bad, bad day. From my standpoint, I'm going to do exactly what I said. If it passes, I'm going to go on and do whatever. I would end this by saying just this. Who would benefit more from Amendment 2's passage and the elimination of the property and inventory tax? Who would benefit to the tune of millions of dollars? Me. My companies. My good Lord of living, let's go add it up. My gracious goodness alive, you can't imagine how much I would benefit. And I'm sitting here telling you, don't do it. Because you see, I didn't sign on for the lobbyists. I didn't sign on for the special interest. I signed on for you. Our forefathers did something a long, long, long time ago. They served. A lot of them lost their farms and lost a lot that they had. I really believe we've gotten away from that in America. And at the end of the day, I'm telling you without any question, what you've got going on right here is a classic example of the swamp right in your back door. Now, at the end of the day, you've got to decide to be those disciples for those little fellows that are sitting right there, because they really need you. That's all there is to it. Listen, I really appreciate you coming out. I appreciate you sitting in the sun, and I hope to goodness that you really, really, really are listening, because there's no way on this planet, no matter what anybody says at any day, anywhere, that I'm going to tell you anything but the truth. God bless each and every one of you. And let's have an absolute great day in this incredible state, and be safe in all your travels. Thank you so much. Brother Steve.